Hi everyone. Let's say you have a superpower, and with this power, you can see things that no one else can. With this power, everything around you makes you grow stronger. With this power, you can make something out of nothing at all. With this power, you can change the world as you know it. What if I told you that every single one of you has that power already? Creativity is our superpower. It is an expression of what it truly means to be human. We all have it. We were born with it. In 1992, NASA scientists Dr. George Land and Malin conducted a study, testing the creativity levels of 1,200 children between the ages of 4 and 5. 98% of these children fell into the genius category. Land and Jarman were so shocked by these results that they decided to continue their study. They tested the same group of children 5 years later, and again 5 years after that. By the time that these children were 15, high school students, the amount of children that landed in the genius category dropped to only 12%. Why is this? Every single one of us is born with a fundamental skill to imagine, to create. We are born with an overwhelming amount of potential. So where does it all go? As author and professor Sir Ken Robinson said, we don't grow into creativity, we grow out of it. We are growing up in a world where imagination, inspiration, and creativity are not prioritized. We are taught that creativity isn't relevant. We are pressured to be sensible, to be rational, to fit in. We hide and ignore what excites us because we grow up believing that it's not important. We are afraid to stand out, to be different from everyone else. I'm sure every one of you is familiar with this feeling, and if you aren't, chances are you just didn't realize it was happening. Leaving behind our creativity is so common, so normalized. Our creativity is still present inside each of us. Over time, it's been buried, but it hasn't disappeared. The most courageous, most important act we can make in defining ourselves is unlocking that creativity. That seems difficult, scary even. Why is creativity important? Why should we care? Our generation has a wide, wild future ahead of us. Innovation and technology are evolving at a breakneck speed, and we need to be able to keep up. NASA knows it. That's why they conducted their study, to find innovative potential in astronauts and scientists. Forbes magazine recently named creativity the #1 skill that every employee will need in an age of artificial intelligence. Contrary to what we've been taught then, creativity is practical. One day, it will even help us get jobs. More importantly, creativity gives us the power to make even bigger changes. Creativity allows us to revolutionize ourselves, our world, and our future. We can shape our future into something of hope and beauty. In a world that is constantly rising, falling, and evolving, harnessing our creativity connects us and reminds us that we are all human. Now we're ready to unlock our creativity. Awesome, let's get started. But it's not that simple. If it were, I wouldn't be giving this talk right now. There are obstacles in our way. The dragons in our hero's journey, they can be found in every step of every creative journey. Largely, they can be traced back to fear, to doubt. So how do we get past our self-doubt? How do we vanquish our dragons? Unlocking creativity might not be easy, but the steps to get there are relatively simple. In my experience, I've found that there are 3 tools. First, recognize that what you're already doing is creative. Every single day you're making things, even if you don't realize it. You might make yourself a cup of coffee every morning. You might make a playlist of some new songs you like. You might doodle in the margins of your notes during class. These seemingly mundane things that we do every day are acts of creation. Where there was no doodle, there is one. Where there was no cup of coffee, now there is. Acts of creation are the core of creativity, but you need to take it one step further. Moving from creating things to being creative begins when you give your work intention and give it context. Drawing a doodle is an act of making something from nothing, but intention is when you look at that doodle. Notice the shapes that you made, the thickness of the lines, and what it reminds you of. Taking the time to realize that there just might be something more in this doodle. Having intention in what you do takes you from simply making to creating. Creating is difficult because, especially when you're a teen like I am and you're working on a tight budget, it's hard to have all the materials you want, the best fine art pens or the best laptop or camera. We are forced to work under constraint. We're forced to work with whatever might be available to us. The value of creation comes from its context, and we might be sketching with ballpoint pens on scrap paper alone in our bedrooms. So how can we possibly call this creative? The trick is to give your work its own context, and I don't necessarily mean physical context. It's pretty unlikely that our first works will end up in the world's greatest museums or concert halls, or headlining the news or the App Store. I mean mental context. You have to build your own museum inside your head. You need to define a space where you can display your doodles, your code, your creations on the walls. Take a step back and celebrate them. Allow yourself to be proud of your work. Honor the fact that you are able to make something out of nothing at all. By doing that, you define your creativity. Second, open your eyes to what's around you. Often, in the stories of famous artists and innovators, we hear about the moments where they are suddenly struck with a bolt of inspiration, their aha moment that leads to their creation of the next biggest thing. When we make the choice to create, we get stuck because we think that we have to wait for that inspiration to strike us. But waiting around for inspiration becomes another obstacle. Inspiration is all around us, in the food we eat, the color of the sky, the people we talk to, the music we listen to, and the things we see online. Especially because of technology and social media, we are surrounded by content. Input is being thrown at us from all sides at all times. Creativity is when we take this input and we balance it with our own output. Your interests give you individuality, and that individuality fuels your creativity. A key to unlocking your creativity is recognizing what's around you, what catches your eye, and what inspires you. Collect these things. Take note of them. But don't wait for them to find you. You are made up of everything and everyone who has inspired you in the past. And once you recognize that, you become a vessel that channels all of their impact into something brand new, something that is all yours. Inspiration is all around us and inside of us too. It's up to us to open our eyes and notice it. Third, take action. This step is deceivingly simple. You have all the tools you need, but now it's time for the scariest step. On the first day of middle school art class, my teacher gave us the most daunting assignment of the entire year. We were each given a small square of paper and a box of watercolors, and then my teacher told us to paint a dot. Just one dot. It seemed so easy, but when brush came to paper, I hesitated. What if I didn't like it? What if I did it wrong? It happens to creators all the time. The famous artist Jackson Pollock was said to sit in front of his blank canvas for hours before painting anything, paralyzed by its emptiness. All of a sudden, it feels like something is at stake, and all of our doubts return. What if, even through all of this, we are just not good enough? The only way to fight this dragon is just to start, to put something into that emptiness, to paint your dot. To be creative is to commit to the act, the good, the bad, and the ugly, everything that goes right, but also everything that goes wrong. It will be messy. The final product might not be the way you imagined it, but it's yours. You made that out of empty space. One of the best things about creativity is that it's a renewable resource. You'll never run out. So even if the first creation you make isn't your favorite, and it probably won't be, you still have an infinite amount of potential just waiting for you to use. You have as many chances as you want to try again, so use them. Keep your old creations. Take them out and look at them from time to time. They'll remind you of your strength, of your capability to make something from nothing. You'll learn from them, and before long, they'll show you how far you've come. Creativity is your superpower. Honor it. Be proud of it. Recognize it in yourself. And recognize that everyone around you is creating too. You don't need to search long and hard for creativity, but you don't need to wait for it to find you either. You have every tool that you need. By being able to recognize your creativity, grab hold of it and utilize it, you become powerful. You can change yourself. You can change the world. You can change your future and build the future that you want to live in. The doodle you start with on a scrap of paper might turn into another sketch, and then into a masterpiece of artwork that will strike awe in those who see it. The line of code you jot down during class may morph into a new one later, and then become the first line for a new app. And that app, your creation, will reach and inspire hundreds of others after you. It is a gift that you can give yourself and share with others. By unleashing your creativity, you begin a chain reaction of inspiration and creation. Pablo Picasso once said, "Inspiration exists, but it has to find you working." It's your turn now. Go get to work. Thank you.